What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video, and as I told y'all last week, I will be covering the Donna Adelson trial, but I wanted to catch up some of the people who weren't familiar with the trial on some of the things that happened before we got to her trial. So this particular video is about her son, Charlie Adelson, who has already been found guilty for his role in Dan Markel's unaliving. So let's get into this article right now. In July of 2014, Florida State law professor Dan Markel dropped his two boys off at preschool, hit the gym, and then came to his Tallahassee home where he was pow-powed twice in the head in his car, execution style, at point-blank range. He was unalived 14 hours later. Since then, the sensational case of his shocking M has involved years-long investigations by Tallahassee police and the FBI, hitmen, a gang leader who flipped on his friends, wiretaps, family members, accused, recorded conversations in crowded restaurants, 3 trials, 4 convictions, and a COVID delay. It was the subject of a popular true crime podcast and continues to make national news with features on Dateline in 2020. On Monday, Markel's ex-brother-in-law, periodontis Charlie Adelson, accused of being the ringleader behind the hit, became the 4th person to be found guilty in the conspiracy to M a man. He was sentenced to life in prison. Here's what happened up to that day and in the years afterwards. Who is Dan Markel? Daniel Eric Markel, 41 at the time of his unaliving, was a Canadian-born Florida State law professor, author, and prominent legal scholar. He was married to fellow FSU professor Wendy Adelson, and they had 2 young sons, but they separated in 2012 and battled through an extremely acrimonious and bitter divorce in 2013. How was Dan Markel unalived? On July 18, 2014, Latin Kings gang member Luis Rivera and his childhood friend Sigfredo Garcia, who had driven up to Tallahassee from Miami in a rented Toyota Prius, stalked Markel as he left his sons at Creative Preschool, spent an hour and a half at Premier Fitness, and then returned to his home on Trescott Drive in Benton Hills, according to the testimony from Rivera. As soon as we pulled in, Garcia jumped out and went behind his car to the driver's side and pow-powed him, Rivera told prosecutors during his M trial after he flipped on his partner twice. A neighbor saw Markel in his garage and called 911, but due to an initial prioritization error by the dispatcher, an ambulance didn't arrive for 19 minutes. Markel was transported to Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, where he expired the next day. Investigators used cell phone records and surveillance video to track the Prius and identify Rivera and Garcia. Rivera, already in federal prison at that point for an unrelated racketeering case, initially denied being in Tallahassee, but changed his story when shown a photo of the 2 men in the Prius. Garcia was arrested in May of 2016. Rivera later admitted it was the second attempt to unalive Markel after a previous try in early June 2014 when they followed him but lost him. What was the motive behind Dan Markel's unaliving? For the shooters, cash. Rivera testified he and Garcia were paid $100,000 in an M for hire plot. They received the money in stacks of stapled $100 bills the next day, and they split it with the mother of Garcia's children, Katherine Magbanua, who Garcia said set up the deal and was the first person Garcia called on the ride back to Miami after the unaliving. According to prosecutors, Markel's M stemmed from the desperate desire of the Adelson family for Wendy and the 2 sons to move to South Florida. In 2012, while Markel was away, Adelson had moved out of their house with the children and most of the couple's possessions and left divorce papers on the bed, according to the court filings. Markel won 50-50 custody and an order prohibiting Adelson from moving them away in the divorce, and the 2 parents battled in court for months over every detail of their children's lives. In 2014, Markel filed motions claiming Adelson had misrepresented her financial assets and had taken a 2-carat ring belonging to Markel's great aunt, a Holocaust survivor. He also filed a motion to prevent Wendy Adelson's mother, Donna, from having unsupervised time with the children after hearing about disparaging remarks she was making about him to the children. Who hired the men to unalive Dan Markel? In the 2016 arrest affidavit for Sigfredo Garcia, Wendy Adelson's brother Charlie Adelson and their mother Donna were implicated in the contract unaliving, although they were not charged at the time. The document said that Donna Adelson wanted Wendy to coerce Markel by offering him $1 million deal by threatening to enroll the children of the devoutly Jewish Markel into Catholic school. Charlie Adelson was arrested in April of 2022 and charged with first-degree M, conspiracy to commit M, and solicitation of M. He was found guilty in November of 2023. Through their attorneys, the Adelson family has consistently denied all connections to the unalivings and called the theories fanciful fiction in 2016. Who is Charlie Adelson? Wendy Adelson's brother, Charlie, 47, was a periodontist at the Adelson Institute in Fort Lauderdale, a dentistry practice he shared with his father. Emails uncovered in the investigation show that Charlie Adelson didn't like his ex-brother-in-law. The day after Markel was pow-powed, Wendy admitted that Charlie had joked that buying her a TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman. The TV became her alibi when she set up a Best Buy appointment to have it fixed at the same time as the M. A former boyfriend of Adelson, Jeffrey Lacasse, told investigators that Charlie Adelson had looked into hiring a hitman for $15,000 in the summer of 2013. She said Charlie had explored all options to take care of the problem, and Charlie suggested having Professor Markel unalive, Lacasse testified. In Charlie Adelson's trial in 2023, Wendy Adelson denied ever telling Lacasse such a thing. According to prosecutors, Charlie Adelson found a solution through Katherine Magbanua. Who is Katherine Magbanua? At the time of the M, Adelson was dating Magbanua, who was working on and off at the Adelson's dental practice. She also was the mother of the children of Sigfredo Garcia, the man who unalived Markel. When Rivera testified about Garcia, he said Garcia had told him, "We were going to unalive the man for some kids, for a lady, because the lady wanted her kids back." Rivera told jurors that he knew Wendy Adelson was paying for the hit and that it was all Katie Magbanua who connected them. Investigators also tracked multiple phone calls in the weeks leading up to the M, and again immediately after it, between Magbanua and Charlie Adelson, between Magbanua and Garcia, and between Charlie and Donna Adelson. After the M, Rivera and Garcia purchased several cars and motorcycles at about the same time that Magbanua began receiving paychecks from the family's dental practice. Investigators also found that Magbanua deposited more than $41,000 in cash and more than $17,000 in checks from the Adelson Institute into her bank account between July 2014 and November 2015, mostly through ATM increments of $300 to $2,000. The checks were signed by Donna Adelson, who also worked at the family practice. Magbanua maintained her innocence in both Garcia's 2019 trial, where the jury deadlocked on whether to convict her as well, and in her own 2022 trial when she was found guilty of being the go-between in the M for Hire plot. But she admitted that Charlie Adelson may have been involved. In the next year, in Adelson's trial, she testified that the hit had been Adelson's idea and had brought up the idea to her in 2013. Adelson denied this. What is the Dolce Vita recording? The key piece of evidence against Charlie Adelson is a conversation he had with Magbanua in 2016 at the Miami restaurant Dolce Vita about how to deal with someone they believed to either be a blackmailer or the police. Earlier, an FBI agent had approached Donna Adelson posing as Rivera's brother and handed her a news article about Markel's murder with $5,000 and a phone number written on it in a sting operation known as the Bump. The FBI was hoping to get suspects in the conspiracy talking about themselves. It worked. During the more than 40-minute video recording, Adelson allegedly suggested making a one-time charity payment to the so-called blackmailer or else unaliving him. And so help me God, if they F with my family, it's gonna be like effing that blank S, because this will be done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Katie, I don't care what I spend, okay? I swear to God, Katie. Katie, the person doesn't know. Evidence from the recording led to Magbanua's conviction, and a software-enhanced version of it provided enough evidence for Adelson's arrest on April 21st, 2022. He was charged with first-degree M, conspiracy to commit M, and solicitation of M. What was Charlie Adelson's defense? Double extortion. During the 8-day testimony portion of the trial, prosecutors painted Charlie Adelson as a wealthy, arrogant playboy who thought he was smart enough to get away with M. Adelson, who took the stand in his own defense, told jurors that Magbanua came to him in a panic the night of the M and said she knew the people who unalived Markel and they wanted $250,000 within 48 hours or one of his family members would be next. He testified that he was too scared to go to the police and the next morning gave Magbanua a purse filled with stapled together cash totaling $138,000 with additional payments to her of $3,000 a month. In his trial, Adelson called Magbanua the mastermind behind the M plot. The prosecution wasn't impressed. "He's a criminal," Assistant State Attorney Georgia Kappelman said in her closing arguments. "He's wealthy, he's smart, and he's successful, but he's a wealthy, smart, successful unaliver." What's up with the stapled together $100 bills? Rivera testified that he and Garcia were paid in stacks of $100 bills stapled together inside a paper bag. Another of Charlie Adelson's ex-girlfriends, June Mchinda, told investigators and confirmed in Adelson's trial that he kept a large amount of cash in safes stapled together in bundles of $100 bills. There was a staple on one of them, she said in Rivera's and Garcia's M case in 2019. They were hundreds. I don't know if they were stacks, but there was a staple on them. Who had been found guilty of Dan Markel's M? Luis Rivera. Rivera pled guilty in 2016 to second-degree M in exchange for a 19-year sentence to run concurrently with the federal sentence of an unrelated case for his statements and cooperations with prosecutors. In 2019, he testified that he was with Garcia when Markel was unalive. Sigfredo Garcia. A judge in Leon County, Florida, sentenced Sigfredo Garcia to life in prison in October of 2019. Jurors found the defendant guilty as one of the men who unalived Florida State University law professor Dan Markel. Katherine Magbanua. After her potential conviction as part of Garcia's trial was ruled a mistrial, Magbanua was tried again in 2022 and was found guilty of first-degree M, conspiracy to commit M, and solicitation of M. She is currently serving a life sentence. Charlie Adelson. A 12-person jury deliberated for 3 hours on November 6, 2023, and found Adelson guilty of first-degree M, conspiracy and solicitation to commit M. Leon Circuit Judge Stephen Everett ordered a pre-sentence investigation at the defense's behest, something that could take a month to complete. He set a conference hearing for December 12th at the courthouse. Donna Adelson. A week after Charlie Adelson was found guilty, his parents, Donna and Harvey, were stopped in Miami International Airport trying to board a flight with one-way tickets to Vietnam, a country that does not have an extradition agreement with the U.S. Donna Adelson was arrested. She has pleaded not guilty. All right, guys, stay tuned for Donna Adelson's trial, which I will be covering. It starts on the 19th. And thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe. If you like this video, please hit the like.